patches in there. Can you see the little dark patches?
Oh yes, down the bottom mainly.
Yeah, down the bottom.
Does that mean they're going in there?
Can you see those little dark patches in there? In amongst the... Yeah, there's little dark patches.
Yeah.
So they're starting to fill that with wax and propolis.
Okay.
So they're just starting, because what they've got to do, the way this has been designed, is they've got to turn this into a hexagonal cell. So they build up this side of it, and then they join across these little gaps in there.
Right.
So they even everything up so that it looks like a normal cell.
Right.
So all of this needs to be filled with wax first.
So all this is doing is giving them a good head start.
It's giving them a good head start, yeah. But because it's plastic, it takes them a while to... Yeah. Alright, so let's get that one off. Is it stuck? Do you need to... Yeah. Yeah, so next time, put it around.
So the windows to the fence.
Yeah, so the windows to the fence, because you're meant to harvest from this side.
Just lay that box down for us, Tony. I'll just sit it crossways on you, so I don't squash any of these on the bottom.
Sorry, if I can just recommend, let's bring that closer, because if you've got nurse bees and stuff like that, you want everything fairly close to the hive.
Sure.
So they can make their way back in there if they need to, and usually near the front door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Alright. We're just going to take that off. She probably won't be on there, but I'll just check for the queen.
Well, that's the first time it's had
Oh, okay.
on it.
Okay. Well, maybe there has been a good thing this last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that lights would have done something, you'd think.
It's okay, ladies. Alright. So this is normal.
Okay.
Alright, but what I would be doing, I wouldn't be leaving these gaps between the frames. Because what that does, as you can see here, is it's allowed them to build the comb out further than past the edge of the frame.
Sure.
So if all of the frames end up like that, it becomes very difficult to get any frames out without breaking comb and squashing bees and that sort of thing.
Right, okay.
Alright, so
do we need to trim that up now?
well, we could probably move them together without, because if we start trimming that, then you're going to have honey dripping through. It's going to get all rather messy.
Right.
We could probably squash them together without any real dramas. So,
or should we change frames around to...
well, I'll have a look. I might intersperse one of these in between it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll have a look and we'll see. So we usually take the emptiest frame out first. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to push all of these across. Come on, out the way. Calm down, ladies, it's alright. You're a little bit fizzy, aren't you?
They don't like men.
They don't like men. Come on out the way, I don't want to squash you. Wow, they're a bit fizzy. I wouldn't have expected this on a day like today.
I thought they might have all been out this morning.
Well, you don't lose all the bees out of a hive, because you've got nurse bees.
Yeah.
They can't fly yet. So they go through different stages depending on their age. There's cleaners, nurse bees, builders, security workers, and then foragers. Pretty much in that order. And in the afternoon, you often have the bees that are learning to fly go out for the first time. So what we're going to do is at the end, I always squash them together like this, and then I centre it. So that's how you should leave the hive at the end.
So the gaps on
the gaps are on the outside, because they tend to not use those outer frames often. They'll they'll build up the inner side, but they won't build up the outer side, or they won't build it up as much because this is the coolest area out here.
Sure.
So they just don't like to work there as much.
Starting to,
So they've chewed at that a bit.
What's with that?
well, at least it's had some activity, because the last 2
It
weeks,
wasn't touched at all.
neither was this frame. Both those frames were. So the last 2 weeks,
Okay, well,
there's been a bit of activity.
you'll
so
be
that's good.
pleased to see that they're starting to build up on this one now.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that wasn't there even a week ago.
No.
So that was completely empty.
Yep.
Yep. That's
And
been
they're starting on that side.
feeding. So that's just because we've been feeding them.
Yeah, so you've given them the carbohydrates that they needed to build wax. But it's a yellowy kind of... So they must be getting some nectar from somewhere. This is capped honey here.
Yep.
And this is obviously the nectar / sugar water that they put in there. And then they pass that from bee to bee. And they end up taking about 80% of the water out, which is why it doesn't ferment at all.
Okay.
It's quite high acidic, low water content. So now you can see I've got all this space to be able to work without squashing any bees. And they've now got plenty of food resources. So I think you've done the right thing. I'd say the reason why you've been struggling with the chalk brood still is because the numbers haven't built.
That's right.
Yeah, so I think you have made a really good decision in feeding it. So yeah, there's still a little bit there still.
Oh, that's it.
The little mummies in.
So this darker colour is the brood?
Yep, this is all brood. This is all capped brood.
Not capped honey?
No, not capped honey. No, capped brood.
What was the difference?
So here we go. Capped honey, you tend to not see the edge of the cells in capped honey, and it's
okay.
flatter.
Sure.
Capped brood, you can see each individual cell and it's just that little bit puffy.
Sure.
And then the drone ones, they stick out even more. That's a drone there. So a drone has a rounded
Yep.
bottom and it's furry because they've got no stinger. And I'll just hold him there. And his eyes, see how his eyes are sort of fused together?
Sure.
Yeah. And of course they're bigger.
They're
than
bigger.
Yeah.
And then the queen's bigger again?
The queen's bigger again. Well, the queens will be about that width, but even a little bit longer again.
Do you reckon the drones fit through
The drones can't fit through the queen, no. The queen excluder, no, they can't. So if you ever do move drone cone up, which you probably won't actually.
So drone cone, what does it look like?
If I see some, I'll show you.
Okay.
It looks exactly the same as this, but it tends to have a bigger diameter and it sticks out, and when it's capped it sticks out further. Right down the bottom here, and on the side, these are queen cups, but they're only practice cups. So they've just started forming, so you can see it hangs down like a gum nut.
Yes.
Yep. And then they end up quite long, almost like a peanut, when they're fully formed and there's a queen inside the cell. Ones around the edge tend to be swarming cells. Remember we're working with animals, so there's no hard and fast rules. And if they lose their queen and they need to do like an emergency queen or a supersede, it tends to be more in this middle area because they'll have used an egg that was already laid in a worker cell, and they have to adapt the worker cell to become a queen cell.
Okay.
So it's sort of, they build it out and then down into that shape. Yeah. If you look, and I'll get you to take this comb so you can hold it, but just in this area here, there are actually some eggs. You've just got to get it on the right angle in the light to see. I don't know if you can see the eggs in there. You can see them in there? Yeah. Fantastic. Have you seen eggs
No.
before? So So I'll give you this to hold, but it's sort of along there. There's a row, there's a couple of rows. They look like a tiny little white dot. So if you want to take that frame and sort of just tilt it up horizontal, and you just have to gently tilt it around. If you look in this area, that they almost look like a grain of sand.
Yep, got it.
So that's an egg. So out of an egg hatches the larvae, and fairly close to that's a fairly big larvae. I don't know if you can see that one. Where's it? Yeah, so the larvae is a little grub. So they start tiny, they grow bigger, bigger, bigger. Once they become a big larvae, then they cap it off, and then they transform like a caterpillar into a butterfly from the larvae into the bee.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So there's two processes. There's the hatching out of the egg, and then there's the...
So these ones that like the cells have got a half filled with something, they've already...
These ones here, like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a larvae. So that's
the larvae,
hatched,
yep.
and it's growing.
Growing, yep.
Yeah, and in a little while that one will be capped off.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just take those queen cells. We do remove even the practice queen cups just to discourage them, because we really don't want them to swarm.
Okay.
All right.
Fantastic.
So I'll put that one away. And try and keep them in the same order, facing the same way where possible. Sometimes you do need to swap things around. The next one. So that first one, okay, so that's right. So that wasn't built at all.
No, so that's good.
They're making that honey.
That's a good sign.
That's a really good sign. Alright. Let's see if I can find a queen. Alright, so older drone comb. And
So because of the darker colour?
yeah, darker colour. And it's
See the
orange. not drone comb, older brood comb.
See the orange on its legs?
Yep, pollen.
That's pollen.
Yep, pollen. So here you can see
That's capped honey at the top. And the left.
capped honey, yep. So it's very usual. You can see this semicircular pattern. So the brood is a sphere within the box. So each frame we pick up is a cross section of that sphere.
Oh.
That one's it's probably cleaning out the cell with its head down. Yeah, so they're just doing a bit of cleaning in there. Yeah, so you can see the semicircle. Normally there's, is there? No. All right, sometimes they do two things. Sometimes they will have the brood and then pollen, which forms a skin around the brood, and then honey. Or sometimes they just have all the pollen in a frame up one end.
Okay.
It depends on the bees.
Sure.
These ones don't look like they've got pollen. Yeah, so they're going straight from brood to honey. So they must have a pollen frame down here somewhere. There's a whole lot more grubs in this area there. You can see those in there. The little white wormy things. And then down here, the grub, they've hatched, but they're smaller and smaller. So
once they hatch, what happens to the comb? They reuse it?
Yeah, they'll clean it out and reuse it, yeah. But that's why after a while you do want to cycle these out, because the frames get quite old.
Right.
And like an egg, you know how an egg has that membrane inside? Each time a bee's laid, there's a very thin membrane. So if the frame's in there for years and years and years, these cells will actually eventually
how
get...
often do you cycle out? Once a year?
Look, every 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
It really depends. I mean, some last a long time.
Yep.
It really does depend on how the equipment's looked after.
And then you just take that frame out and leave it over there for a while? So it just...
No, I mean, it depends on what you're running. See, because you've got the flow box, these frames will fit into there at the same size. So if you wanted to, you could, if you wanted to cycle an old frame out of the hive, you could put it up into the honey super, even into the flow honey super.
Okay.
And then once it's filled with honey and capped, you take it out, harvest the honey, and then you can throw the empty frame away.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's probably the best way of doing it. sorry, bee, did I squash you in? Okay. So there's some more practice queen cells. Nothing inside them. If you get this sort of white, gooey, snotty looking stuff, that's usually means there's a queen in it, yeah. But these are just empty ones at the moment. They make queen cells anyway. It's just part of what they naturally do.
So what will happen with that queen?
Okay, so if they do make a queen cell and there's a queen there and you don't get to it on time, the old queen will leave and the new queen will become the queen of the hive.
Right.
If there's more than one, sometimes they can have a bit of a battle. Sometimes it can swarm more than once. But right here is one hatching.
Just a bee.
Yep, there's a bee there coming out.
Oh, wow.
Jeez, they're right over it.
Encouraging it on.
Yep. Come on, little one. Out you come. Need a bit of help? Let me help you. This is walking over its head. Now that actually looks like a drone to me. So see these cells here that are sticking out more?
Yep.
These ones here? So these are drone comb. They're the boys.
So
and I think
darker and protrude more.
they're not darker, but they stick out. And when the queen lays, when the workers make specific drone comb, even the holes are a bit wider. Come on, push yourself out. Because I'm stuck. I'm a drone in a worker.
But it wouldn't fly straight away, would it?
No, it won't fly straight away. If it's a worker, they can't fly straight away. And I'm guessing the drones also can't fly straight away. I'm not sure. I need to look that up. But the nurse bees tend to be a little, so this here, see how they're a little grayer looking and their wings are folded together as opposed to these ones. So these ones with their wings apart can fly. The ones with their wings together are often the younger bees.
Okay.
And there are, see this one here, how it's more grey in colour? It's just not as colourful. It doesn't have that real bronze.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's because they're furrier. They haven't lost all their fur yet. Come on, you're taking a long time. They can take a long
So
time.
that frame there looks okay?
That frame looks fine. Yeah, like I said, there's a slight amount of chalk brood. But the numbers have definitely picked up since I was here last. And like I said, I think he made the right decision, giving them a feed.
Well done, Tony.
So yeah, so if
we keep feeding for the next couple of weeks until the
that on this side.
season kicks on?
Yeah, just let that, yeah.
Hanging up there.
Okay, so that's a bit of burr comb, which they can do random stuff like that sometimes. They do this when they're starting to run out of room, but these guys are not running out of room. There's another one where there's a worker hatching here. That's got
And
there.
it's a worker because it's a smaller cone, smaller
Yeah,
cell.
that's another queen cell. Yeah. Nothing in it though, it's completely empty. There's some drone comb, just the one there. Yep. More nectar around the outside. Pop you out the way. then, okay, so they're starting to put, there's bits of pollen in here. So this orange stuff is pollen. I would imagine though the next frame's going to have even more pollen in it. So these bees are keeping pollen to one side of the...
Where was the pollen?
On the top.
Yeah, so there's bits of orange. If you can see bits of orange in amongst there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they store it in there.
Yeah, they store it in there. And then they turn it into pollen bread. Is that me or you? That's me. That could be a client. I'm just going to check the pictures of the client. Hello, this is Carmel. Hello. Oh, not gone. And it's no caller, so I can't call them back. How annoying. Alrighty. Still haven't seen the queen. We do have more pollen here. So there's bits of pollen across the top there. I don't know if you can see the orange bits just above the top of the brood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's normally where you would look for it, is in a strip around the top of the brood.
Okay.
And then obviously much more towards the outside of the box.
So they're slowly building in numbers. That's good.
Yes, they've definitely built in numbers since I was here last. Well, they were only covering, what, two or three frames? Yeah. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're covering good 6 frames to 7. So okay, so here's their pollen frame. So if I turn this around, I'm actually going to give them a quick shake. I'm just checking for the queen. So if you want to remove bees from the frame, it doesn't hurt them, and you just do it over the box so that they land basically back inside the hive. Just a couple, and now we can see the frame a little better. But sometimes if you go to put a frame back into the hive, there's too many bees on it.
Sure.
Sometimes you might need to do that, yeah, just so you don't squash them all. So if you have a look in here, you'll be able to see lots of pollen.
And is that standard that they do them on the outside frame? Store on the outside?
Well, as I said before, the babies, the brood itself is a sphere, spherish shape, and they tend to put, like the skin of an orange, the pollen around that, because pollen's their meat protein.
Yep.
So they want that close to the babies because that's what they feed the babies.
Right.
So as we take each frame, we're seeing a cross section of that sphere.
Right.
So the frames in the middle tend to have more babies.
Yep.
The frames on the outside tend to be pollen and honey, because that's the way they encase the babies. Yeah. But as I said, for some reason, some bees, instead of having that pollen cover around, so you don't see the edge, they have it all on the outside. Yeah, which is what these ones seem to be doing. And that's okay. And they mix the pollen.
Maybe due to the lack of food, I suppose.
Maybe. I can't see any here. Oh yeah, here's some up here. So it might be a bit hard to see, but just in this area, the pollen's a bit more shiny than the other pollen. So what they do is they mix the pollen and the honey together, and that's called pollen bread, and that's what they feed to the babies. Okay. Yeah.
So they just crack a cell open and feed it?
Look, I think they feed them before they pupate. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see in this area, the pollen's a little more shiny.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, so that's the pollen bread where they've mixed it with honey.
And the cells are definitely more full.
Yeah, and yeah, so...
Okay.
Yeah. And that was obviously some brood that they've used there. But they're using this one mainly for pollen, which, like I said, that's pretty typical.
And being that it's orange, it's just the flower that's out
That's just
at
the
the
flowers. I've seen orange, I've seen white, I've seen pink, I've seen almost green. It just depends on what's around.
You haven't found a queen though.
Haven't found the queen, so I'm just going to have another quick look through all the frames as I put them all back.
She must exist, otherwise they'd go, surely.
She must exist because there's eggs there, and we've seen eggs, which means she was on that frame in the last day or two.
Have we left out a frame? Did we?
Yeah, there's a frame here on the end,
So we'll put that where?
back where it came from.
On the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Or move this one up.
You could. Either one, it doesn't really matter. Come on, queen. One of these things is not like the other. She sometimes tends to hide.
Well, she's got to be doing a job because there's good brood there. So
Yeah, there's better numbers. I mean, it's still quite small for a hive this time of year. As I said, it's been an extremely unusual year.
this one here on the edge, is it a drone?
Yes, I think it might be. Has it got a pointy?
Yeah.
It's pointy? No,
Yeah.
then that's a worker.
Okay, just a big one.
Maybe a bigger one. Well,
Yeah.
she might be full of honey. And they do grow a little bit as they get older. Alright, can't find the queen on there. Nope.
And do they mate inside or outside of the box?
The queen?
Yeah, with the
She
drones.
only has one mating flight, so it all happens on one afternoon. So she might have about 13 partners, and it's out and up in the sky.
How high?
That I don't know either. I'll need to look that up.
Someone said it was like 200 or 300 metres high.
Yeah.
That sound right?
Yeah. I was going to say about that. I think it's about 300 metres.
It's really high.
Yeah.
Mile high.
Wow.
Yes. And the poor old drones perish.
Yes. So it's just a one mating cycle.
What she then holds all of the sperm within her for the whole of her lifetime. And she chooses whether she's going to lay a fertilized egg, which is a female, or an unfertilized egg, which is a male. So she chooses and manipulates whether to release an egg with sperm or without.
Right.
It's amazing.
That's incredible.
It is amazing, yes. So if because the queen will last about 5 years, she's most productive for the first 3.
Yep.
If you find you're getting more and more drones as she gets older, she's obviously running out of sperm
Right.
because she's not able to fertilise those eggs anymore.
And then we need to bring in a new queen.
Yeah, about every 2 to 3 years. It depends. Like as they get older, they tend to get grumpy, and then the hive, as her pheromones become weak, the hive personality can change, and they can become a bit grumpier.
Okay. And then
So-
we just got to find the old queen to get rid of the old queen.
Yes,
And then we bring in a new queen.
yes, which can sometimes be fun.
Right. We've got to find the queen first.
Yeah, you got to find the queen first. Some days they're really easy to find. Other days they're like ninjas. But if you can't find a queen, it would probably work with this one. What you can do is you can put the queen excluder here. So above the door but under the box. Tip all of the bees out of the hive, and as they go back in, the queen won't be able to get up through the queen. She'll be stuck
Should we start?
with the drones.
Yeah.
in that entrance area underneath.
Right. And she'll want to get back in pretty quick.
And she'll want to get back in. So the next morning,
Yep.
you lift off the box, you lift off the queen excluder, and she should be stuck down there in the bottom of the box.
Right. Okay.
That's if you ever can't find her.
Okay.
Another way is to have a box, the queen excluder, and then another empty box, you know, like just the one that you're feeding in, and shake the bees into that. And again, as the bees go down, I've sometimes found her walking around on top of it. So I would prefer that method before I do that one, because that one requires me coming back the next day and leaving it overnight, which is okay for you guys.
Yep.
But this one, do it on the job. Okay. Yeah, but look, finding the queen can sometimes take. Where was I up to? This one? And even sometimes after those methods, you can't find her as well.
So she must stand out if you can see her pretty quickly.
Yeah, like I said, some days you're looking like, oh, there she is. And other days you can look and look and look and look and look and look and just not find her at all. On here because there were eggs on this one.
So for the next 2 or 3 months, they should start producing quite a bit of honey.
Well, yeah, you would hope
Hopefully.
so. It depends on what's out there. But yes, you would hope so.
And then what, in about 2 months' time, we then really concentrate on filling the ideal box, so over winter?
I would be trying to fill the ideal box now before you fill the Flow Hive, personally.
Okay.
Because it's more important that the hive survives than we get honey.
Yep, sure.
So,
And then when do they sort of go into real winter mode? Is that about May, June?
May, April, yeah, towards the end of April, May.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to reduce the hive back down. Ideally, you would have them back into this box here, and then the ideal box on the top as honey, and the flow box will be gone.
And that should last a while.
Yes, and depending on the winter, I mean, if there's plenty around, they might not even eat all of that. No, I can't find her. I don't know where she's hiding. Well, I haven't been able to find her this morning. Where are you, lady? Yeah, so look, I mean, you know, it is up to you, but now that you've given them those reserves, you could feed them for another couple of weeks and let them start filling up patches in here that need. But ideally, I would actually take the Flow Hive away, the Flow box away, and just have the ideal box on, and let them focus on filling that up first.
Well, we might do that. We'll give it a couple of weeks of feeding.
Yep.
And then we'll
As soon as you see gums around out on the trees,
then we'll be
yeah,
right.
yeah, I would.
Get rid of the flow box. Put the frames back in the height in the.
Well, you wouldn't
box.
then if we're going to leave it.